Glitch Paradox is unfiltered. Parental discretion is strongly advised.
RP keys on the beat. Flying saucers.
Glitch Paradox.
Our minds should be open on all subjects.
Welcome everyone to another edition of the Glitch Paradox podcast. Of course, you know who this is, Big Man Big Rich, along with the mad scientist here. And it's been a minute, but we're back. Of course, we all have our daily lives that we gotta deal with, kids, family, all that good jazz. So
Yeah.
we decided to get back on it, and we've touched on this topic before, but for whatever reason, it just won't go away. Like it just, no matter what, you try to put it in the back of your head or whatever, something else comes up and you're just like, oh, here we go. It all goes back full circle to this topic. And of course, we're talking about this whole mysterious Planet X, this aka Nibiru, the whole theory of us, our solar system having a binary solar system. And it's for people who don't understand, it can be scary for some because you're talking about two solar systems intertwining at certain periods of how many years pass. They the planets or whatever from this binary solar system comes through and interferes with ours, and who knows what kind of consequences happen
Mhm.
when this goes down. And and I can't sit here and say without a shadow of a doubt 100% there's no possible way this is fake or whatever, because I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
sit here and say it, and no one can. But what we can say is there's a lot of interesting things we've come across, videos, articles, and stuff like that over the years that kind of says, hey, something's up, something's going on out there that we don't really fully understand. Or, of course, the powers that be know more than what we know, and they're not going to say nothing, or they'll say something at the last minute. But the point is, it's very, very interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Very interesting topic.
And we've talked, and like you said, we've talked about this in the past. And it's one of those things, right, where it lands in the category of conspiracy. But the thing about a conspiracy is that there's evidence. And that's what starts that fire of interest. And of course, you get your crazies, don't get me wrong, the ones, they're kind of like Woody Harrelson from 2012.
Yeah.
They're really out there. And I get it. Like everyone has a passion, or they find something to fulfill that, that need or hobby or desire, a way to funnel that. And I get it. But I think what's interesting is coming it from the perspective of somebody, okay, well, you and I have heard about this for a long time. We've always brought this up in some way about Planet X. And, it's been called, wormwood. People have tied it into different teachings from different things. They tried to connect it to biblical texts, religious texts. There's writings by people like Zachariah Stitchin, who is this very controversial character, among the UFOologists and people about ancient aliens and things like that. But there's been arguments about translations and all this other nonsense. But in the end, there's questions because the belief is that this planet X will somehow influence the planet by interacting with different things. Anything that comes into our solar system or
Yeah.
our small niche of the universe, if you will, if it comes into our solar system, it is going to affect how our planet acts and behaviors. And these are the things that always raise an eyebrow to people who pay attention to climate change. So you get people from that category that are like, well, maybe. But, I'm not a fan of the, crystal winds, magical, people who claim they're talking to aliens from another planet and that particular species is giving them information.
Oh, was it the Palladians, or is that what I've been hearing that?
Galactic Federation.
Galactic Federation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
And
like,
it's weird
okay.
because I'm not going to, I've never been a type to, because I've always had this kind of motto where anything is possible. But when it comes to that, it's kind of like, okay,
Right.
I'm not gonna say you aren't talking to
Right.
them, but I'll take it as it is, and okay, all right.
Right.
Um,
It's a good, as far as like, it's an interesting thing. Okay.
yeah,
I'm willing to listen. I don't co-sign it.
yeah,
You know,
exactly, exactly.
I would never vet it.
Yes. Like I'll
You
hear
know,
you, but I'm not gonna invest and be like, oh man, what, and just go crazy about it.
right.
Because
Because
let's be
details are
real.
interesting,
Yeah, and there's been some crazy stuff that's happened on this planet. So, you can never say anything's too far fetched, but certain things you definitely could take with a grain of salt and be like,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, all right. So yeah, you definitely have to be careful when it comes to really investing time and effort when it comes to certain things. And the thing about this, like, and of course, I already told the backstory. My mom was the first one who told me about Planet X when I was a kid. She's the one that brought it to my attention. Prior to
Hmm.
that, I had no idea. Like, of course, I loved. See, I was, I always wanted to be an astronomer, so I loved learning about space and everything. But I
Right.
was never like on that level yet. I was still young, so I wasn't like really into the unexplained and the unknown yet. I was
Right.
still like, Bill Nye the Science Guy kid, and that was that that's where I was going off of, and watching science channels and stuff. So and my mom, like I said, if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be thinking the way I do now.
Right.
She played a major part in that. So I thank her every chance I get. Um, but she's the one that brought it to my attention, and since then it just never like got out of my head. I never forgot about it. Like some certain things people tell you, you kind of put in the back of your head, be like, oh yeah, and then years later, oh yeah, I remember that. But
Yeah.
this was something like I followed, like since she first told me, I followed it ever since. And certain things, made me more and more interested in it. And I think when me and you first started talking about it, we were looking at articles and seeing footage and pictures and stuff. And of course, things can be altered and
Yeah.
fake and
And so there could
photoshopped
be a
and stuff
sun
like.
dog where they're
Yeah,
like,
so it could
oh,
be a sun dog and all of this. But the thing about it is that it seems like each year it grows more and more, whether it be more sightings of it, more articles, and it's funny that now we're starting to see like scientific articles and stuff like that talking about possibility of a rogue planet and this and that, or in so many years this small planet be going through our solar. It's like they're dropping these hints, um, and saying basically, yeah, there's something out there, even though they're not going to come out and just say, hey, by the way, be on the lookout for this. Um, but it's funny how the way the powers that be, they put out the truth without really putting out the truth. And whether they do it through movies, TV shows, whatever the case is, there's always hints and stuff, subtle hints or whatever, um, in movies where you're able to depict, like 2012, and we talked about this movie before, and I talked about when they were promoting it, and I was talking about the website and
Right.
how the website, they were like doing this promotion where the promotion was about this planet passing by causing all this destruction. And that's, of course, if you watch the movie, that's not what it was about. They changed.
Yeah.
But when the original idea was about this planet passing by causing all this devastation. So they changed that. But the promotional website, and I really wish I could, I really wish I could, it was still up or whatever, because people would just be like, what the heck? Maybe they had, maybe if I do some digging, I could find it.
Right.
But yeah, they had that up on the promotional website. You know what I'm saying? So they throw out these things, and there's been other movies besides 2012 um, that's come out talking about in a TV series that was talking about. I can't think. It was called The Event. It was I think it only was for one season. Came out for NBC, but it was called The Event. Came out a few years back,
Hmm.
and that was about the appearance of another planet in our solar system. There's that movie with what's her name? Jake Gyllenhaal's sister, or whatever her name is. She was in Spider-Man 1 and 2 and 3. Can't think of her name. Anyway, it was that it started with, the movie started with an M. It was called like
Melancholia.
yeah, that movie.
Can't pronounce that, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's been some other movies, but they put out these movies and stuff, and a lot of course, we all watch movies for entertainment purposes and all that, but there are definitely movies out there that put out messages, that put out hints about stuff, that tell the truth about stuff, but the majority of the people ain't going to pick up on it. They're just looking at it for the entertainment value. They're going to watch it and just, oh man, that was a good movie, and oh man, so much action and stuff, but not really picking up on the message
Right.
of the movie.
Right. And that's truth. I mean, there's always hints and things. I mean, I don't get all like, oh, it's, look at this, like this predicted this. I mean, how I look at it is, some people call that predictive programming. You could call that, I don't know, what do you call it? Behavioralism, depending on it could be a form of propaganda, depending on what you're rolling out, right?
Exactly.
But I think too, when it comes to, well, nothing is ever just out of the blue. Everything kind of like, there's nothing new under the sun, just as some things can inspire other works. I think that maybe these were known rumors. I've heard that there was people on films that were giving, let's say, extra information. They were being like an informant, not on the books by real name by any means, but they were supplying information. I've heard that in the past about different films, meaning this is something that's a real thing, but we're not going to, you can't accredit me, you can pay me under the table, basically. I do think that that's happened with different things. Some people would argue it was for like more of the alien disclosure type crap, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that. I believe that very strongly. I think that we could talk aliens a whole nother time, because
definitely.
That's a big subject, but that's when it gets all crazy for both of us. But we're like, oh yeah. But with Planet X, though, it's much more science based. So in a way, you saw 2012, they were tying it into the Mayan thing.
Yeah.
Which the Mayan calendar isn't even accurate according, you know what I mean? Like the original Mayan calendar. And there's shifting that goes on all the time with the way that our universe works, the way that planets have changes that you can see. Like, what is it? Some planets, like, what was it? Jupiter, or I think it was Jupiter, had all of a sudden they started having an increased amount of storms on their planet within the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And they noted that, and it hit some of the news. But then you'll have other things that go on with the sun. There's a good example. Solar mass ejections start to change, and those do affect how our planet interacts. Like, there was a gentleman that used to have a channel on YouTube, and I feel bad that I can't recall his name, but he was really interesting. Now, this isn't Dutch sense. This guy came before Dutch. But what he was doing was connecting solar mass ejection activity, as well as solar activity, to planetary earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and plate shifting. And he was able to successfully tie the two together. And he was able to, I mean, it was really impressive. And he did this for a while, and all of a sudden he just dropped out. He was gone. And I don't really know why. His channel was amazing. And he was really doing a lot of very good work. And he was engineering and science background. And he was very interested. He was a younger guy at the time. And I haven't seen him. It's been God forever now. But he was connecting the two together. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I mean, I would think that would be common sense. But I mean, I know other things can affect how our planet interacts. You know, it could be stuff on the planet itself, whether that be fracking, cause and effect. But I think a good percentage of it is going to be external, outside the planet, that will affect what happens here on the planet itself. Yes, I think we contribute to our planet's decline. You know, we create a form of climate change just by polluting.
Exactly.
I'm not going to pretend that climate change isn't real. That's ridiculous. But I do believe that there's more than just humans that cause these issues. That's like giving us way too much credit. I think that there's a lot of external forces at work that interact with the planet, cause and effect, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there was one article recently when you were talking about how they'll randomly come out with like little segments, I guess, lack of better words, of news. It's almost like a teaser, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, but they'll do these teasers, lack of better words. And this article came out in June 20th, this year, actually 2021. And it was saying extremely eccentric minor planet to visit inner solar system this decade, which is interesting. So there it is on your map here. And it says the outskirts of our solar system is teeming with mysterious objects, and now one of them is heading our way. Astronomers have discovered a minor planet that's about to make its closest pass to the sun on its 600,000th year orbit. The object in question is designated as 2014 UN 271, and it's only recently identified in data from the Dark Energy Survey captured between 2014 and 2018. The size estimate placed it anywhere between 100 and a 370 kilometer, 62 to 230 miles wide. If it's a comet, it's quite a big one, especially for coming from the outer solar system. So this article just kind of breaks it down. They're not really entirely, you know, it's a huge mass is whatever it is. But these types of articles will pop up. NASA's discussed stuff like this in the past. And yes, they've addressed Planet X in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way where they'll say, no, it's bull. And then they'll turn around and say, well, maybe it's not. You know? So you don't really get those answers, lack of better words for those things. But yeah.
Yeah. So for people who don't really understand, or just like barely finding out about this, or you know, whatever the case may be, supposedly, like I said earlier, this planet, it's not just like and there may be confusion for people when they hear Planet X and Nibiru. Nibiru is the dwarf, is the brown dwarf, or it's Nibiru is supposed to be the what is it, the red dwarf, or whatever you want to call it, and it has its own system. So I'm gonna pull up something so people kind of get an idea of what I mean by that, and it's not just one planet; it's an entire system that's supposed to be interacting with ours. It's just Nibiru's the thing that supposed to cause the most damage. So what I'm gonna do, and this is crazy. I remember this image. This actually came out. Someone filmed this like
Trying to think, was it this year?
No, it was like 3-4 years ago. I'm gonna show you. Let me.
Oh, that's right. think I know which
So
one.
this is a it's just a picture. It's an article, but someone was outside. Um, they were outside and um, they seen this thing, and they were like, "What the heck?" I think this was in the evening or something like that when they seen this. This was in the evening. So let's see, where is it at? Here it is. So this is what it was. I don't know if you can see it.
Nope, can't see it yet. Hold on one second.
Oh man, I messed up.
Nope.
There we go.
There we go.
So yeah, I remember this was like 4 years ago or some 3, 4 years ago. 3 years ago. And someone this was like in the evening.
Okay.
And I actually I seen the actual footage of it, but this is a still shot of it.
That's a good still
Um,
shot.
yeah.
Can you zoom
And,
in a little bit on the like on the
yeah. Let
screen?
me let me see if I can get a better. Oh man, it won't let me. Dang it.
Can you hit? I don't know if your computer will let you do a Control Plus on it, or if you can right click. Oh, there you go.
Um,
Heyo,
yeah. So yeah, this was back in 2018. Somebody. Oops, I done messed up.
magic. The
Yeah, I done messed up.
magic. There it is.
Somebody was outside their house and filmed this 2018, but that's just one that it's so many there's so much stuff you have to get through, and as far as like deciphering which what is real, what is not real.
Right.
um
Because there's
but
footage that's really interesting, right? And you're like, oh, that's weird. And then there's others where
mhm.
you're like, well, any of this could be a sundog or a reflection, depending on the
Yeah.
time of day, location. But there's been a lot of footage in the middle of the day. I know one was
Hmm.
Antarctica for a while, and then
Oh
over the
yeah,
next.
yeah, because I was on those, and the thing about it, they had those live cameras posted up down there.
Hmm.
So I was following it for a while, and there was some strange stuff going on down there. I'm not even gonna lie. I wish I would have saved that footage, but yeah, there is
There was a
some.
lot of footage
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, and it was pretty crazy.
because it
Now
wasn't
there,
just the Planet X, but there was like other weird stuff going on in that sky, from what I
yeah,
remember.
yeah, exactly, and there is a couple of people that really follow this. Dave Dobbs is one of them, and I know you know about it. We've both looked at his stuff and followed like in this, and Dave Dobbs, he actually has this model of the system,
Yeah,
and this guy has been pretty accurate as far as when these certain pass by or flybys of the smaller planets and stuff like that have gone through, and what it means, what has happened, like the recent flyby and the collapse of a lot of the crypto when they all crashed. Um,
it's
so
very
he,
interesting. Like
yeah,
Dave is a
and
different kind of. He's a different kind of researcher,
yeah,
to say the
exactly.
least. Like that's the thing I take from it is he knows. Those types of people you'll meet in life, and they know a ton of information,
Yeah,
and you're like, how did he get all this?
yes,
And honestly, he's proven quite a bit. He has patterns that he's following, or cycles,
yeah,
and
and
that's
you look
what's
at it, you're
kind of
just
it's
like,
overwhelming, just to say
yeah.
something.
There's a YouTube channel also
Hmm.
that this guy, he's been pretty good on it as far as tracking, and he puts up a lot of like satellite images or footage he gets from like the Soho satellite cameras and stuff in space, and it's Planet X News
Yeah,
is the
website.
channel. Yeah,
Oh,
YouTube. Planet X News. Actually, I just got it up right now. Um,
yeah.
yeah, Planet X News. That's the here it is right here. Here's YouTube. Um, and this guy, he has a lot of stuff. He puts in a lot of work. You have people that just post whatever, and then you have people who actually take their time and
Right.
effort and really research this stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, so Planet X News is another one I've been following and stuff, and he has a lot of his stuff is a lot of stuff dealing with satellite images, footage, and Earth changes, weather
Right.
changes, stuff like that. So his stuff is pretty interesting as well. But yeah, Planet X News is another one.
So that's Planet
Um,
X News. And
yeah,
then
Planet.
I accidentally added this one in here, but this is Dave Dobbs's
Yeah,
YouTube channel also.
yeah, and Dave Dow and his videos are long, but
Yeah, they are.
but he 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 posts some stuff. It's not just whatever. He really does. He really invests time and effort in his research when it comes to his videos. So a lot of it, he talks about stuff going on and people he's come across on his journeys and stuff like that. He reminds me of I don't want to say hippie, but he's kind of I don't know, what do I want to say, nomad,
Yeah,
something yeah, like a
yeah, he's a
nomad.
nomadic type
Yeah,
soul. Hmm.
yeah. And he's come across all these individuals where he's gaining all this knowledge, but he's right now. I think the last video he said him and some other actually putting money together to work on this final model that would be able to calculate everything as far
Yeah,
as the way it's supposed to be better than the models he's created, and these models he's had. I mean, he breaks it down through the years, and with not only does he show the graphic as far as this solar system and when this thing flies by and all that, but he shows each time he stops at a certain event, he'll show pictures and footage of that day or year or whatever of what is in the sky as well, or what events is going on during that time when there's a flyby at a certain period. He'll show what's going on, earth changes, economy, stuff like that.
yeah,
So he's very detailed in his work. He's not just saying whatever. He's very
right.
detailed in his work. So in the last video I watched was not the one that came out a couple of days ago, but the one that came out a week ago. That's like an hour and 16 minutes. The second one from the
This
top.
one.
Yeah, that one. So that one he in that model he has in that latest one he shows the whole binary, the other the other system um that's next to our binary system.
Yeah, he actually shows some maps.
Yeah. And what he was saying was end of July, uh from end of July to September is when things are really going to start picking up. And so we'll see. Of course, I tell close ones and all that, and it's up to. See, I'm not a person to run down the street and say, "Hey, y'all stock up, prepare." You
Right.
know,
Hmm.
um, I'm not on that Chicken Little status, but
No, it's one of those
I
things where I think people, unfortunately, like no matter what it is, like
exactly.
whether it's a plague.
I tell people who are close, family, friends, that are willing to listen and are kind of in the know or willing to say, okay, yeah, you know what, yeah, let's start. Hey, make sure you're stocked up. Make sure you're good, because the last thing you want is to be one of those people where stuff is hitting the fan and you're not even prepared,
Right.
at all.
Because I look at it like this, it's like for anything, naturally,
Hmm.
depending, we lived in the mountains before, and it was such
Yeah.
a learning experience about being prepared, right? Because we
Hmm.
got blizzards and we got snowed in. We had a couple ice storms. Our pipes froze more times than I care to acknowledge. It had a lot to do with the fact that our well had issues. But you live and learn about preparedness. And I mean, I've been through a major hurricane, very big hurricane, and that was the beginning. And so, like when we moved to the mountains where we knew we'd have a ton of snow and be snowed in, which happened plenty. It was about preparation all the time and having a stockpile of just, functioning items like water, being able to flush toilets, being able to bathe, those things are what I consider, and, we're in hurricane season, already prepped for that, but also during COVID, that's a big one. And I think for a lot of people, it was a wake up call of,
exactly.
It's not so much that there may be shortages, okay, because that's not it. You know what it is? We got a shortage of we have a shortage of normal people in a crazy ass environment.
Exactly.
Right?
And you see how people acted during
Oh
COVID.
God, it's
They
not even
didn't know
yet.
what to do. And I'm like, if they can't deal with that, and you're talking about a global cataclysmic type event going down, you think people are going to be able to no. People
No.
like they won't. And it'll be the one, and you know what, a lot of it will be the ones calling the people who were prepared crazy. They'll be the ones the
Do
ones
you
that are in that
remember?
situation. They'll be the ones calling the people, "Oh, y'all some preppers, y'all just
Yep.
and those will be the ones
Rich,
that
you remember, right? Like years ago, you and I talked about this because we discussed this on the when we were still doing it on SoundCloud,
hmm
and we had a whole show where we were talking about prepping,
Yeah.
and like that was the thing is, we sound like a bunch of nutballs, and that's fine. But I always looked at it like this: I went through what I have gone through. You've got now everybody's had the experience of what it's like to go without.
hmm
And you and I swear to God, I remember this. You were like, it's better to be safe than sorry. Because you have kids, you have loved ones living with you, Rich is surrounded by females. So
Yeah.
he's got an arc. And
Yeah.
so, you have to prepare not just for yourself, but for your family of what if situations. And with COVID, that was the big wake up call for people about preparedness. And it was I can't tell you, remember you sent me a message and you're like, feels good to be prepped.
I mean, and I'm not trying to make fun of people who aren't or
No.
whatever, but you know how little stress I had when when you're prepped for the most part. When you're prepped like that, you're just kind of like, okay, you can kind of sit back and not have to worry about running out and stocking up on a lot of stuff because you already have it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did because I already sensed, I'm like, nah, let me make sure I'm good. And I stocked up on water and toiletries and canned foods and ramen, like all of that stuff I was good on. I bought a lot of stuff that had a long shelf life. And half
Yep.
of it we really didn't even. And the crazy thing, half of it wasn't even used yet. So and so it still have a lot left.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is that we were prepared enough to be like, okay,
Right.
I had about, like, as far as cases of water, I probably bought. Oh, I probably had like 30 cases of water or something like that. Like it was a lot.
But
But
then you start to
now,
notice how much water you drink too as a
yeah,
family,
exactly.
right?
But see, I also a few months back I got a water cooler
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So I have a water cooler and I got like 5 gallon jugs right now. I'm probably gonna get 5 more to have 10 5 gallon jugs
Yeah.
on top of the water I have. So yeah, it's a lot. And but yeah, when you get situations like that, you really like, wow, I go through a lot of water,
Hmm.
and same thing with toilet paper,
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
Oh, see, that was the thing. That was
hmm
because we had prepped that already. Because
Yeah,
we have kids, man, and when
yeah,
you got kids and you got girls and you got
hmm
boys doing their thing, I swear to God,
hmm
it's like they eat the toilet paper. I'm
yeah, it
convinced.
gets sucked up real quick,
Yeah.
real quick.
And then when all
It's,
that went on, it
hmm
was like you couldn't find toilet. And for us, it was toilet paper and milk, right?
Yeah,
And we legit had shortages. The milk thing is because we got hit with an ice storm here in Texas, and it was really bad.
yeah,
So, I mean, we didn't have stock. COVID made it hard, but then the
hmm
ice storm really made it like 50 times worse.
yeah,
And a lot of people didn't know, like I didn't share, but like we didn't have heat.
Mhm.
So the whole time. So we found ways around that because we
Yeah.
lived in New Mexico. We had it happen there. The electricity went out, even our, because we had a pellet stove. We didn't have a traditional fireplace. And here in Texas, it's just not a traditional thing to own as a fireplace down in our area because we're in the deep south of Texas. So it hit really hard here. And I was like, okay, well, we got heating, our electricity was still going, but the heat was on gas and there was no way to get gas. There was a week
Mhm.
delay. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, fine. We've been through this before. We'll be okay. And sure enough,
Mhm.
we were okay. I mean, they did have to shut the water down for the city at one point because there was issues going on. So it's being able to be proactive in those ways. But I swear to you, it's like those were really big prepping moments. So when we didn't have any milk, we had powdered milk, which we always have because we use it for cooking and we use it for other things. But there's ways around it to prep sufficiently because with COVID, I think we're not out of the woods yet. People are playing house. That's fine. It's helping us. Those who prep, it's helping us. So thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
You know,
you're absolutely right. And the reason why we're talking about prepping is, not to scare anybody, but here's the thing about supposedly this system is that it's ancient times it's been talked about, and supposedly this came by before in the past. They've called it wormwood, they've called it the destroyer, they've called it the great dragon. And when we're talking about, and it's hard for me to explain because we haven't lived through it, but the movie that best describes worst case scenario would be the movie 2012. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. You're talking about supposedly a planetary object that's 5 to 10 times the size of Earth. So you're saying something around Jupiter size or maybe even bigger passing by. And something of that size is going to cause havoc because of its magnetic pull.
right.
And it's going to cause so much friction with the Earth or whatever planet it passes by. It's going to cause some damage. So you're talking about a pole shift. You're talking about earthquakes that are like 10.0 or whatever. You're talking about volcanoes erupting like crazy. Imagine like in 2012, what you call it went off. Volcano in the super volcano in where is it at? You know what I'm talking about. The national park,
Yeah.
Yosemite National Park. Is that
Yeah. It might
that?
have been. Yeah.
Okay, so that the underground super volcano that's right under a national park. That went off in that movie. California went underwater and stuff like that. So, and that leads me to another thing. When I was a kid, there was a show I used to watch, and I talked about this before. It's called Sightings,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I used to watch it religiously. That was just like that was my show. Like I watched it every week it came on. I was glued to it. So there's this episode, and we talked about this before. There's this episode of Sightings where they were talking about the future map of the U.S. Right, and it was all these remote viewers and everything, and I'm like, whoa, what's as a kid you're kind of like nervous, like
Is
what are
this
they talking?
real?
Yeah, like
Right.
like yeah, what's going on? So they did the episode of future map of the U.S. and me, it took a lot it takes a lot to scare me, but back then I was scared. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I was like, what are they referring to? As I got older and started doing more and more research of Planet X, every time I was researching Planet X, it was always tying. I would always see the same type of map I would seen on sightings, and it showed the future map of the U.S.
Hmm. Hmm.
as we see here. I don't know. You're able to see it.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. There we go.
So the future map of the U.S. and the reason why it looks like this is, so supposedly when, if and when this planetary object passes by, it's going to cause global cataclysmic events.
Mm-hmm.
And so setting off volcanoes that's been dormant forever, causing massive earthquakes, big tsunamis coming in. So in the future map, just about every single future map of the U.S. I've looked at, all of the coastal states, cities are pretty much gone. And this is one of the examples right here, where basically just about all of Cali is gone.
Right.
All of Nevada is, just about all of Nevada is gone. Washington's gone. Oregon's gone. Florida's gone.
And this is, and believe it or not, this is more of a generous map.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I've seen some. There's some that I was just like, oh.
Like pretty much, yeah. It takes out the whole coast of Texas and all this other shit. And that's the thing, right? Is like, yeah, I see some of these maps, they start getting a little spookier with the layouts and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I remember the future map of America.
There's the one that,
yeah. There's the classic map that a lot of people see.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that this is, once again, this lands into the conspiratorial, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been people who have vetted this that are former military. There are people that have vetted this that are researchers. And then you've had people that come against and say, oh, well, Nibiru or Planet X doesn't even exist. It's just a conspiracy theory. And I get it. I do. I completely get it, because there's always been, the problem is they're trying to give timelines to the future map of the U.S., man.
Yeah,
that's so generous right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, generous map. But,
but
in the end, though, like, it's something of an interest, because with climate change as it is, right? If the poles have been changing, like I know there was a recent article within the last couple years discussing the shifting of the polar, I think it was a northern pole, wasn't it?
Yeah, the North Pole was shifting,
Yeah, it was shifting, and it was going to start affecting the climate. Now, do I believe that humans have created that synopsis, meaning we've promoted it to shift? I don't think so. Not unless the government's up to something that they're going to claim they didn't do. I don't think we had that much influence on that part. I think that has more to do with external forces, planetary stuff, planetary bodies coming in and out, and the shifting natural, the natural evolution of our solar system, which we're still so behind on figuring out that code of how that cycle looks, So a lot of the times when scientists say, we know for sure what a black hole is, that's hypothesis. They really don't know. And that's the part of science, I think, that we underestimate, is that there's a lot of unknowns with science, and it's based on the most educated, human-based guess that we have as far as evidence is shown. So for anyone to say there's no such thing as this or there's no such thing as that, with no evidence to really support that one way or the other, we're still getting used to cycles within the last 200 years. Yeah. We've just started to, what do you call it? I guess catalog and document properly. Only within a few generations, I guess, in my opinion. So here we are looking at climate change, of how you saw the heat wave we had, well, not here, but I would say in Canada, and was it Washington, Oregon, where they got hit with 100-degree plus temperatures, and it was killing people because of the heat, and it was absolutely horrific. And down here in Texas, we had the worst, ice storm in a freaking ever that hit the state, and it wasn't just because the grid failed. It's not just the grid failure. You have to understand, these temps were completely abnormal. The last time I went through temps like this, what we had was New Mexico during the coldest part of winter, when we would get hit with an ice storm. That's the closest, other than Illinois or being in the Midwest somewhere visiting family, or even in New York, but this was way beyond that because of the humidity. There was a different kind of humidity here at heat that we're usually getting. So it turned everything upside down. We're still recovering in a lot of these areas. But the point is you're seeing these very abnormal climate change changes go on. So if we were to, let's say, the poles flip, let's
Mhm.
just say over a course of a year, suddenly we have more and more dramatic changes. They can give us carbon taxes all day long.
Yep.
That's not going to stop this. That's the
Mhm.
part where I'm like, let's just say for the sake of it that we have some kind of body coming into our solar system. Scientists really don't know, depending on how big, because the thing with Planet X or Nibiru or Wormwood, whatever, the Nemesis, the Great Destroyer, whatever, the brown dwarf, red dwarf, whatever they prefer to call it, is that it's the size, the sizing of it is
Yeah.
really significant. It's not like
Mhm.
a normal sizing. So we're not talking like a comet that's just really
Mhm.
big, but you know, they think that this is is the 10th planet in our solar system that rotates in and out. And it's not really a planet, but it's a brown dwarf. It's a failed star. So they give it the
Exactly.
size of like 4 times that of Earth, but like a density of 20 times, let's say 20 times the size, which is about 2 to 4 times the mass of Jupiter, right?
Yep.
So it orbits our sun, and it travels very quickly when it does pass by, right? This is the whole logic. But it gets slow in between its passes as it goes by. So that means it might accelerate or decrease. But the acceleration is caused by gravity. So this is the kind of thing you would see with comets, right? Where it slings
Mhm.
around a planet in the orbit. But it may only appear, they're not sure. They don't know if it would orbit the sun and only appear
Mhm.
for maybe a few days or every decades. They don't know. There's not much of a strong timeline here. But it's been given the name Nibiru because, Zachariah Stitchin was involved in the naming of it, but long before Zachariah Stitchin wrote his book about this.
Mhm.
Um, this stuff has been discussed numerous times.
Yep.
MSNBC covered it back in '99,
Mhm.
and they said that there were teams working on researching about a mystery revolving the sun involving a planet. They just didn't know, and it was out of the UK, where
Yeah.
they were speculating about it, this planet being larger than Jupiter, and other things. Other candidates for Planet X always come up. So it means, like that recent article I showed earlier, there's always something popping up. And the people kind of refer to it as the sun's nemesis. That's where the name comes from. Nemesis or Death Star or whatever you want to call it. But it's basically, the belief is this is an undetected object that could be a red or brown dwarf star or even a darker presence, that's huge. They all believe it is bigger than Jupiter. So, they don't know because of the mass extinctions in history is what the clue is, that there is obviously something external that affected the planet. That's where the footprints are, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No. What did I do? I didn't messed up. Hold on.
No worries. Take your time.
Okay. So, just to give. Jesus, this is
Is
not
this the
gonna.
right article?
Well, no, I was looking for something else, but this is
Oh,
funny because this guy. I remember this guy predicting
oh
Planet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, that's not what I was looking for. It was.
You're like, I remember this, but I have done the same
Yeah.
thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh
So
yeah,
they have it like, this is kind of like one of the image or drawings or someone
projection.
showing how this is supposed to travel within our solar system and heading back out. Now, the thing and what really um, brings so much attention to this is because there was an astronomer in 1980 who discovered Planet X.
Right.
And they never talked about it again. It was in a news article. It wasn't like something that was just made up. It was in an actual news article about someone discovering Planet X. And remember, in one of the I showed you one of the old scientific magazines from like the 40s or something,
Yes.
that cover.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can find it.
We covered it on one of the other.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was on. We talked about it on one of the other podcasts, but it
yeah.
was, so it's not like this is not new.
Hmm.
Um, this has been talked about, and basically, it was an article about what caused Noah's flood.
Correct. Yeah.
what caused the Great Flood. So they I found it already.
Boom.
No, wait, no, that's not it.
I
I
see
I
the
was like,
irony.
wow, that was quick. Um, but it talked about a planetary body being one of the possibilities. Oh, I found it now.
There we go.
Being one of the possibilities of. Oh, you bastards!
Mhm. And
They
you
took
can
me
also
to like
share,
all of the articles about. Oh, okay, I found it
if
again.
you find it, you can share the tab.
Yeah, I
So,
found it here.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
let me share it. But yeah, so they were talking about like what could have possibly caused Noah's flood, and
Hmm.
So here's the magical article or
Oh
the
yeah,
magazine, and so they were talking about a planetary body coming through, and causing the Great Flood.
and it really is an interesting read.
Hmm.
It really is. Like it was very curious because obviously, they're taking hints from biblical texts because essentially they have to go as far. Most religion is the stuff that's been preserved as far
Hmm.
as historical records. If we're going out that far back, right? So you're
Hmm.
looking not just at the Bible, but you're looking at the Quran, or you're looking at the Talmud or whatever, the Old Testament
Hmm.
type stuff, because you're trying to piece together a timeline because those are the things that were preserved above all else, aside from like accounting.
Yeah.
So this type of thing though is it's pulling back into there, going, okay, what could have contributed to this? It's a great read, so I highly recommend that. I'll make sure to have that in the description.
Yeah. So yeah, and it talks. So this is something that's been talked about for, and this was way before um that amateur astronomer discovered Planet X. This was back in the 40s when they were talking about a planetary body could have been the cause of the Great Flood.
Right.
And this is not even an ancient time. Like there's been descriptions of cataclysmic events, something happening back there that caused worldwide chaos.
Right.
And like I said, they described it as wormwood. They described it as the destroyer, the great dragon or the red dragon in the sky.
And the
Looked
Red
like a
Dragon
dragon. Yeah.
connects really well,
Hmm.
you know, biblically speaking, into
Yeah.
the apocalyptic port. I mean, like that whole idea of
Hmm.
dragons coming from the ocean and so on and so forth and
Yeah.
from the sky. Revelations type
And
stuff. Very interesting.
exactly. And then there's I was reading something about a blackout happening not just in the city. We're talking about countrywide blackout in the whole U.S. Because of the effects of this planet passing by. Um, and so I was reading about that. Like this is like people don't understand because, like I said, we don't know how to deal with it because we've never dealt with anything like this.
Right.
We weren't around the last time this supposedly passed by. So we can't go back in time and see what our ancient ancestors seen. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't go
Right.
back and see like the chaos and the destruction and all that. But there's been records of something going down to that effect, you know. And so when I talk about worst case scenario 2012, the 2012 movie, that would be according to, if we're looking at like the physics of things and the science of a planetary body being that close, that's what would happen. It would just cause so much destruction, and change. There would definitely be change, whether it be a lot of destruction or not. Definitely be
And the
change.
truth and the truth is with the Mayan calendar is
Hmm.
that the connections that they tried pulling the two together, right? To
Yeah.
say, oh well, that's no, that I never felt that that was the case with the Mayan
Hmm.
calendar. No matter when the Mayan calendar comes through, I guess we'll find out if that's entirely true because
Yeah.
the calendar was misinterpreted, mistranslated to begin with.
Hmm.
But they've tried tying Hebrew to the Mayan calendar thing, and there was no evidence of that whatsoever,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like it's kind of like I felt like that was drawn in together to disavow Planet X
Hmm.
theory altogether. I feel like that's two different animals. So
Yeah.
it's almost like disinformation that was done intentionally, in my opinion, because I never heard the whole crap, about the Mayan calendar being connected. Even though I know that some people preached it, I didn't see it. I was like, that's really reaching. I
Yeah.
think if we mistranslated it, okay, then I'll be proven wrong down the road. You know what I mean? Because I don't remember what the date is on the Mayan stuff. The actual original date that they mistranslated, supposedly. But there was a shift, and I'm not going to lie. I do believe that there was something, I don't know, external, not something related necessarily directly to us, but in our solar system during that time frame, because things increased as far as earthquakes, earthly activity, unusual weather patterns, and it keeps the climate change discussion has increased, like to the point where they're like, well, in order for us to be successful, we need to have more smart cities and reductions of use of fossil fuels and nuclear energy, and these things are all possible to do. And nuclear energy is like messing with fire to begin with, in my opinion. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I see that we have room to change regardless, but I don't believe it's going to stop climate change. I think climate change, man-made, 100% is bullshit. I think it's a 50-50, meaning we take a good piece of responsibility, absolutely. But I also believe it's part of the evolution of our planet. So is it that our government knows that the planet is getting ready to shake the fleas off?
Well, I mean, you think about what's going on, and they probably sitting back like, and this is where it gets a little tricky here,
Right.
and bear with me here. So I've heard that there's the reason, number one reason, one of the main reasons for the lockdown.
Okay,
is
this
they're
is
trying-
now just as a disclaimer. This
Yeah.
is rumor. So this is
Exactly.
100% rumor. There is little, I don't know how to say this properly, but little evidence right
exactly.
now. So we're just having the whole what do you call this? Observational discussion, objective discussions.
Yeah. I will say a little hypothetical, whatever.
There we go. Yeah.
Supposedly, no, you're good. these lockdowns, and something tells me there's going to be another one, but
oh yeah,
these lockdowns are I guess their way of trying to condition the people and get them ready to be in a lockdown for long term when stuff really hits the fan. And I've heard that it's been tied into the arrival of Planet X. And again, just rumor, just speculation. No, but I'm just going off of things I've heard that it
like
is.
this isn't. Yeah. This isn't something like, oh yeah, I know for sure. Oh no.
No. This is just stuff I've heard. That it's tied into the arrival of Planet, and it would kind of make sense, especially like, let's say within the next month or two, they say, okay, we're locking down again. And then, stuff is really like kind of going crazy. But again, just hearsay, don't, take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
But I will say that, we've never experienced something like this. So if in fact it does happen, you could just imagine how freaked out people will be, especially if this planetary body is the size that's being talked about. We've never seen anything like that. So you're talking about this big, huge planetary body passing by, and as it's passing by, it's causing all this destruction. And that's not even a thing about it. It's supposed to have this tail of debris,
right,
and meteors or whatever that's following it. So you're talking about, not only the destruction from the initial flyby, but then, the planet getting pelted with whatever debris is following this thing. So, and this is not to try to scare anybody or whatever like that, but it is what it is. If this is in fact, real and legit, you definitely want to prepare as much as you can. and that's why it's always good to prepare. And in this situation, you definitely want to prepare, at least have 6 months worth of whatever, food and all that. But if this thing does come through and it'll be on the likes we've never seen before, ever.
Right.
None of us. I mean, people have dealt with um, earthquakes, people have dealt with tsunamis, people have dealt with hurricanes and stuff like that. So, but not on the scale of what it would be if this object passes by. Like I said, 2012 is like the prime example of worst case scenario. The movie 2012 of like the kind of destruction would happen around the planet.
And also, the day after tomorrow is
Oh
another.
yeah, that's another one. Day After Tomorrow is another one. There's that movie I just watched a couple of weeks ago, Greenland.
Oh, mhm.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
what's his name? Was it with not Russell Crowe's with
Another one
Gerard
of those
Butler?
male leads.
Gerard Butler, I think his name is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. So yeah, it's on HBO Max. I think it's still on there. But yeah, Greenland. So I just watched that, and that was pretty crazy. So with this thing, it's one of those, and anytime I come across any footage or anything, I'll send to you, and you'll take a look. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this?
Right.
You
'Cause
know,
there's so
it-
much stuff.
yeah, there's so much stuff you got to decipher, and like I said, some of it, definitely you can tell right away, like, oh, come on, and there's some other stuff where you're sitting back like, whoa, what's this? Like, this is real good. Whoever took this footage. So, and I've also noticed, there's been people have been posting a lot from like the cameras, the sky cams in like Alaska and stuff like that,
Hmm.
where like you see this object in the sky, um, but you can't like put it like this: the way you can't really see it with the naked eye for the most
Right.
part. A lot of this,
Mhm.
and I think it has to do with the infrared or something like that, where we can't see it with our naked eye, but our cameras can pick it up. A lot of the cameras can pick it up, and a lot of it has to do because of how it's not close enough to be seen with the naked eye. But by
Right.
that time, when it's close enough to be seen with this naked eye, it's kind of like too late, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of these images, I'll look, and a lot of times I'll look at the satellite images. I'll look at a lot of the Alaska
So,
cameras, yeah,
oh yeah.
the air camera, sky cameras, and the Soho cameras, and the cameras in Antarctica. A lot of these areas where you higher elevation, and different parts of the world where you kind of get a better look.
Right.
And I don't know why. It seems like in a lot of the southern hemisphere, you get better footage for the most part um, than in certain places in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Um,
weird thing because before you were only seeing stuff from the north.
yeah,
It was like Norway,
yeah,
Denmark,
hmm
stuff like that. And now you're starting to see it coming out of the southern regions. And what I
hmm
also find interesting is like we were talking about this the other night,
yeah,
was that with all these strange electromagnetic type storms
yeah,
that are
yes,
they're kind of popping up. And
hmm
I don't know. It looked like southern parts,
yeah.
but then there looked like there was some more. Was it somewhere in like America?
Yeah, yeah, like New York. It happened in New York where all those transformers and all that were blowing up and everything. Yeah, some of it was on the East Coast. I'm trying to think if there was anything on the West Coast or
I
Midwest.
didn't see
But
anything
I
from.
know, I know New York for sure.
That's the thing that it was like there was several they were showing like about how it was one of the videos was very informative. It was talking about how energy weapons work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But one thing they did not show, because most of the time you're not going to see that that
Mm-mm.
kind of that what was being shown in the videos was basically like a lighting up of the clouds,
Yes.
to say the least. um, and it looked like a light show. So it
Yeah.
was flashing like very bright, and it wasn't an electrical storm. Keep that in mind. None of
Mm-hmm.
this was like they thought, oh my God, is there a tornado coming?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to rain? Are we getting an
Mm-hmm.
electrical storm? and there was no rain, there was no storm,
Nope.
there was no tornadoes. This was just, it wasn't even heat lightning. This was way different. This was,
Yeah.
it looked like an electromagnetic storm, and it is
Yeah.
a phenomenon that happens on other planets like Jupiter and Saturn.
Mhm.
But it was really, it was very bright green, very
Yeah.
bright red, and obviously
Blue, I
white,
think like yeah.
blue. It was
Yeah.
weird, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. There was no pattern. It
Mhm.
was just all over the place, and it was frightening if you didn't know. I mean, it panicked most people that were taking the footage, and this was a lot of cut footage.
Yeah.
From different places, and it was very, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen anything like that myself, and I've seen electrical storms and like
Mhm.
severe, in the kind of storms you get right before a tornado or after,
Mhm.
but I've never seen anything like that. And it
Yeah.
was really, and one of the videos was in the South, one of them was in Mexico
Okay.
or South America, somewhere South American. I think I want to say it was like Brazil, but that could be wrong. But
Mhm.
it's very abnormal. So my question is, do you think we're going to see whatever's happening, whatever the hell this is contributing to, if it's because the planet's changing
Mhm.
or external, forces are starting to shift? Do you think we're going to see more of these electromagnetic storms?
I think so. Yeah, I think it has to do a little bit of the changes on the Earth, but also if there's something, any outside forces causing that. If for example, if it is, the Planet X system are coming through as it's getting closer, is it causing, more and more of these kind of events? And then that brings me to another topic. We're talking about the sounds in the sky.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and that's still going on. There's recent footage. It sound like screaming in the sky or some kind of
See,
weird sound.
that
Yeah,
crap you sent me a long time ago when we first, this has been
yeah,
years now of
yeah.
like hearing this stuff, that it was like over in, I want to say
It was
like,
like in Europe. It played like
yes,
in Europe
like
somewhere, and yeah,
Ukraine or
yeah.
Russia.
It was like somewhere in Russia somewhere.
And the
Yeah,
thing that was curious about that time, this is a while ago, so
yeah,
just to give context, but it was right before the, I want to say it was like a few months before they had some weird activity, and they ended up getting hit with like a meteorite or something.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah, it
And
was
I
like
was
during
like,
the daytime or whatever.
it was, and it sounded like horns, the
Hmm.
noise there, but it was
Yeah,
like frightening, like it was
yeah.
from the sky. And it
Hmm.
didn't make sense. And then, like a few months later, they had the incident with the meteorite hitting in a different area. Keep that in mind, based
Hmm.
on what I did know. But it sounded like almost like the horns, like somebody was like, the great seal, the biblical people coming in, like, and the
Yeah,
seal is open. Oh, Lord,
yeah.
calm down. It's all going to be fine.
There. I've heard the horns, and then I've heard
The
it sounded
screams.
like yeah, I've heard scream, and then I've heard like it sounded like machine, like heavy metals like grinding or
Oh,
something like that in the sky. Like it was crazy.
oh, hell no.
Um, so you have these different sounds in the sky. Like it's just a lot of unexplained stuff going on in the
It,
sky.
now, I wonder, now this is, I don't know if you'll have the answer to this, but I'm going to ask. If anyone listens to this and has an answer for this, let me know. But do electromagnetic storms produce any form of sound, or can they?
That's a good question.
Because
That's a real good question.
I've never really thought about it until we were talking about, because we talked about the storms, and I hadn't seen that kind of footage before. I was like, what the hell is this? Because when you look at the footage of Jupiter or Saturn, because Jupiter's storms have increased significantly, so now you got way more footage of their storms, and they look scary as hell, even
Hmm.
from space. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, thank you. But I wonder if electromagnetic storms produce
Hmm.
any kind of noise preemptively or post or during, that maybe that we've had them and just didn't realize they were being produced because we didn't see the light show.
That could be a possibility. That could definitely. I like I said,
I
I
know.
don't, anything's possible. I don't.
I'll have to look that up. Maybe I'll ask a scientist,
Yeah, yeah,
see what they think. Because that's the problem, is there's a lot of questions I've always wondered about. Yeah. I'll
yeah,
Google that while we're sitting here.
yeah, and so, and that's another thing. Like, this is why we're still talking about this, because it hasn't gone away. It's still like a thing. You know, it's not like the whole flat Earth thing where it just popped up out of the blue, out of nowhere, and just like there's like Planet X has been in discussion for a very, 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 very long time, very long time, even before um, it was discovered. There's been ancient texts of something going down. And speaking of which, remember the like the stuff I was talking about, that ain't that advanced civilization,
Right.
that was it called, Tataria or whatever that place is. It's like it's supposed to have been supposedly in Russia somewhere. um and I showed you like some footage where it was some kind of train system they had. I just showed it to you like the other night. We were
Right.
talking about that, and I just barely got put onto that not too long ago. Like I had no idea about this, supposedly advanced civilization that kind of just like they got swept under the rug by whatever powers to be. But supposedly this Tataria, and it's in ancient, it's not even, not, I shouldn't say ancient maps, it's in old world maps of Tataria. um and they had like the advancement, they it showed like I'm looking at all these old photos of like the technology and stuff, and I'm just like, yo, like this is
Hmm.
very interesting, and there's this group, it's called about like the mud flood group, and they talk about like cities being built on top of cities that was caught up in something. um
Yeah.
oh, okay, so I'm
This
sorry, I
is
just read your
no.
reading it.
I know. Sorry. I was looking up the question, and of course, this
Mhm.
isn't necessarily the direct answer, but this is the sound of the Earth being wrecked by a solar system, or excuse me,
Mhm.
solar storm. And it's this is from 2019. It was recorded by a research team. So this actually got from the Science Alert, but it's also on MIT's site, the same thing, but it didn't have the actual link to
Mhm.
the sound. But basically, what this is, it says in space, no one can hear you scream because sound can't travel in a vacuum. But if we convert electromagnetic activity to sound, it suddenly becomes a very noisy place. And our Earth is no exception, specifically in and around the magnetic field generated by Earth's molten core. This barrier is called a magnetosphere, is thought to be one of the vital ingredients for a life-supporting planet, protecting us from harsh radiation of the solar wind. And the stronger the wind, the louder the magnetic sphere sings. As charged particles from the solar wind stream towards the magnetosphere, some are reflected from the shock region in front of the magnetic field back towards the sun. This backsplash then interacts with the solar wind that's still streaming in, generating instabilities in the plasma and resulting in a magneto-acoustic waves. So scientists on Earth then translate these magnetic acoustic waves into sound, strange chirps and whistles, to understand the dynamics of interactions between the solar wind and the magnetosphere. So now, for the first time, the song of the Earth and Sun have been recorded during a solar storm, when the solar wind blows at its most wild and fierce out into the space. So this is actually something that was collected. It was conducted by the European Space Agency. This is the audio. I don't know. I may have to reshare this really quick because I don't think I hit share audio. So I get a cookie for that. So I apologize. But I'm going to try to play it. It shouldn't ding me, but let's laugh together.
No, I see it. I see. Let's
Let me
see.
see really quick. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'm going to reshare here. So that way we can get the audio and you can hear it too.
Okay.
Just for we all get a cookie for that. Okay, here it is. All right. I can't hear it. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't mute. I get a cookie for this because I might have muted
I was able to hear it.
Oh, were you? Okay,
Yeah.
thank God. I apologize. I couldn't hear it, so give me a second. I'll replay it again. All right.
See, that doesn't sound like as menacing as like the sounds that people have heard in the sky, but that's still interesting to hear what that sounds like.
Yeah, if people were able to hear it, I wasn't able to hear it on my end for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
no, it sounded like
Chirping,
no, not really chirping. It was more
chattering.
like a cartoonish kind of space sounds. I would say, like it didn't sound like it didn't sound at all like
Sorry, go ahead.
it didn't sound like the sounds we've heard on the footage. But
Okay.
it's still very interesting to hear that. It
And
sounds like weird wave noises.
and
That
if
that's the
nobody
best.
else could hear it, if nobody, for whatever reason, audio didn't pick up for those listening, I'll have it in the description box, available under, under the title of sounds of it'll be under, it'll say the sounds, listen to the eerie sounds, basically the sounds of Earth being racked by a solar storm. That's where you'll find it from Science Alert. Um,
Yeah.
but so it doesn't sound like the other noises you heard then.
No, it sounds like space wave type of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's nothing like menacing like how that sound like. You thought something was about to fall out the sky type of
If you
thing.
can find that, well, at least one of the videos of the sound, that would be cool. I don't know if
Yeah, let
I
me
don't really
see.
care
Let me
because I'm
see if
not
I.
monetized, so I don't give a damn. Um,
Uh,
but to hear
uh,
that audio, like there's different versions of the horns. The one I heard was the one where they were in an apartment complex or something. That was when I heard
yeah.
the horn noise, and it was really menacing. And then there's been other ones with like mechanical. I remember the mechanical ones.
hmm
Mm.
Let's see if I can find that guy on
But
my thing
you know,
here.
I'll have the descriptions in the description box, so that way you'll follow along with the articles. But yeah, I'm sorry if you didn't hear that. I couldn't hear it on my end, so I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, no, I heard it. It's fine. I know. Yeah, it sounded interesting, but it wasn't like nothing like, oh wow, this is
This
crazy
is
type.
it.
Yeah. um, dang it. Where's the list of that? Where's that guy at?
It'll be
I
in
got
Millie's place. You check for it. You know how it works.
well, I got a lot of people I'm subscribed to that like are on that. You know, so it's like I got to sort through and.
Right. But yeah, the footage though of like because I always wondered if in the Earth, what would it sound like if the beginning, let's say, of an electromagnetic storm, but maybe we're just not aware of it because it's not, let's say, per se, it's not low enough or it's not conducting it necessarily in the area that we're in, but maybe at a distance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I don't. I'm only a pseudoscientist here. I don't. I mean, I don't have no degree unless it's in religion. I got that, but as far as the rest of this crowd, not so much. But it's just interesting. I think
Yeah. No. It is.
it's one of those
Um.
things where we've talked about it so much. We're like, well, what if this happened? And what if because the thing is, a lot of people jump every so many years. They talk about Planet X, and everyone jumps on the bandwagon. And you get a lot of the crazies and people who are trying to start cults and God knows what else. And then you have people who have been following this all along because there's evidence in their mind, especially if you look at old texts and let's say you step outside of the Zacharias stitching crowd and you're just
Yeah.
standing alone, you still have evidence of that. I think we always have to have people who are researchers. We always should have philosophers. It shouldn't be something like, oh, well, you're not staying within this box, therefore you're going to be considered what do you call it? A heretic? I don't know.
Well, I think that's the problem with today, and it's been like that for a long time. Anytime someone decides they want to think outside the box, they get looked at or ridiculed or mocked, or family wants to disown them sometimes, or whatever the case is. And some people are just afraid to really come out and say, or think outside the box because they're worried about um, what people think.
Yeah,
Before I pull up the sound, I'm going to show this real quick.
not a problem.
Let me do this. Let me do it like this.
But I think it's good to have what do you call it? An objective perspective, right? Where
Mhm.
it's like, okay, like I can sign on to it to a point. Meaning I can be
Yeah,
open-minded enough to be like, okay, what if? Because
exactly.
I swear the moment that we stop having an open mind, humans think we know everything.
Yeah,
And if anything, this pandemic has proven is that humans are very reactionary They do a lot of things through fear instead of, and also bandwagoning and jumping on, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we got to all follow each other. Anybody that steps out of line or has their own independence is wrong.
So
I think that's
yeah, exactly.
think independently. There's nothing wrong with that.
So this is one of the footage that I'll come across or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That you'll see, and this is what we mean about it not goes away, because someone's always able to find this footage, and this is supposedly taken in Colorado. But as you can see, and with the sundog, you can see right here where he's moving the camera, and you have these. You see what I'm saying? Like you have that
Yeah.
moving along with the camera, but as you can see, the sun and whatever the object is next to the sun is still sitting there.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, because over the years, this has gotten, I would say it's gotten more interesting over the years, meaning, I don't know, we have way more footage than we used to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. And that's what it is. It's like it seems like it's more and more footage is coming out. And it's one thing where you'll have something that pops up and then you won't hear about it again or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. But you have more and more and more. Okay, I found a guy who. Let me see. Let me turn off the volume from this guy because. All right, so I'm gonna show this real quick. And the way he did this, and this is not the footage I'm talking about, but the way he kind of like filtered this,
Yeah.
you can actually see it does seem like something big is passing by. So let me just show this real quick. I'm whatever footage I come across while I'm finding what I'm looking for, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna
Yeah.
show
Because it is always up to interpretation too.
Yeah. So he you could kind of he'll play the initial and you'll see something pass right here, and this camera shows, and this is not your typical camera. This is where you see the horizon right here, and you see it's curved.
Right.
I forgot what kind of camera or telescope or whatever is being used. I don't know if it's a big telescope from an observatory or whatever, but as you can see, you'll see something come across right here that goes around the horizon, and you see the star, whatever, moon. I don't know what that was that's passing by, but he'll start filtering it so you can actually see the object, whatever it is. Okay, so it's one of those observatory telescopes that films like the whole horizon in a curved view. But yeah, he's just filtering it so you can see something large passing by the horizon. Yeah, you see that?
Dude, that's wild. That's
Yeah.
actually wild. Like even
And so
I'm like,
he
I'm
puts it
sure
in
there's
red
some
so you can kind of
explanation,
see.
but that's
like-
pretty good.
Yeah,
The hell is that?
yeah, that's
'Cause you
pretty
can
crazy.
see, that must be the moon that went down there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The moon that went down
At a
over here.
far distance.
Yeah, but yeah, as you can see, look at that.
Dude, that second filtration there.
Yeah,
That one he did where it's like you can actually see, that's really good too. But the
Yeah.
form, like
yeah, that
where it looks like I don't know, it kind of has a smoke screen look to it.
yeah. So yeah, that was just one of the
Do you know where that observatory was?
that I don't know. He didn't say in the video. Here's what we were talking about earlier. Let me show real quick or share it real quick. But no, in the video he didn't say which observatory. That's why I wanted to know so I can look,
Yeah.
see what it is. But
Maybe you
it's
can
one of
message
those
him.
where you kind of see the whole horizon, and it's curved though. But I forgot what it is. Which
So
kind of
he's obviously not the origin of that video.
yeah. No. He just filtered it. But these were like the storms, electromagnetic storms
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
that you see going on. Let me see
This
if there's
is
any.
There's like a super cut of all of these different long storms.
Yeah.
And people are like, you can hear a lot of people talking outside, like they're asking
Mhm.
each other what the hell's going on, and it's insane. Like I can't hear the audio on that right
Oh,
now.
you can't?
No, I think you have to
Oh.
share it with the audio click. There's a click button to add audio.
Oh, really? Oh, my
Mhm.
bad.
No, it's all good. People can actually, it's okay. There's no audio on it because people can check out the link
So
in
yeah,
the description.
basically, this is what we're talking about when these crazy uh, uh, electromagnetic storms are going on in the sky, and no one has no idea what it is, what's causing it.
Yeah, that was like, I mean, it's disturbing how bright that is.
Yeah, so it goes on where like you see all these
Different.
crazy, unexplained electromagnetic storms going on.
And that's the part that I'm curious about. It's like, okay, well, what the hell is this? Like,
Exactly.
um, I mean, that to me, at first, I even thought that was at first a tornado, but that's unusual. I mean,
Yeah.
that what you're seeing in the forefront there is a tree. So, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, moving around. There's nothing, it's so weird because it's like, okay, well, I guess it would be one of those things I'd have to read more about electromagnetic storms and what they do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. These weird storms that are going on. That's exactly what we're.
And and that's the other thing, because if it was a really active electromagnetic storm, it obviously would be affecting electricity in those
Mhm.
areas, but it's not doing that from what I can tell. So it's weird. Like the whole thing is strange. I mean, it could be a combination of heat and weather related phenomenon, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's shady. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. It's very 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 interesting. Okay, so I found the one from the screams with the screams.
Oh God. Okay.
So let me do this right so people can hear.
Yeah. There's like a
Um.
little button that says share audio, and then you can go to whatever
Okay.
screen.
Okay. So I'll share, and then so I'll click on share screen, and then
You hit share screen, and then at the
uh
bottom in the left hand corner, you'll see share audio. Click that, and then go to whatever tab
okay,
that
gotcha.
you're looking
Okay.
to share.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Cool. 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 All right. Uh, so this was like the latest one.
Mm. Yeah, I can't hear it.
Oh, you still can't hear it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the audio. Yeah, I can't hear him. Thought I could at
Oh,
first. The irony of this is strong. Why is it not
yeah.
sharing? Um, See, it's so weird. Yeah, I can't hear yours.
You don't hear nothing at all?
No.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, because when I shared my own
Yeah, because
stuff, I didn't hear it.
I clicked the little box to share audio,
Oh, I'm
and
so denied.
oh, you're denied.
Oh, sad face. Um, yeah, because I can't hear the audio. I don't know what the hell's going on with that.
Okay. It's all good. But yeah, there's
Thanks, StreamYard.
yeah, I found that video, but yeah, the interesting stuff. I mean, did you want to see if you can do it on your end if I send you
Yeah,
the
let me see if it'll let me.
okay. All right, let me see. I'll send you the link and then you could
Yeah, because
try
I
it.
want to hear it.
Okay. Let's see here.
You can send it wherever you'd like, in private.
I could just send it through
Facebook.
can I send it through Facebook or Streamlabs?
Either one. Or
Oh, okay.
StreamYard. Yeah,
Or
there's a
Stream
private
yeah,
chat in here.
Streamlabs. I'm thinking
I know, right?
I was gaming earlier, so that's why I'm Streamlabs is stuck in my head.
Okay, let's see here. See if I can get this going. Don't deny me, man. I'm all
Yeah.
yelling at it. Okay, let me try it. Yes. Okay. Now let's see if you can hear it.
I know last time I heard.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Excellent.
Okay, so this guy, he's a religious dude that so he calls it planet hell and all of that. That's what he calls Nibiru. So just he's just a very religious guy, but he gets some good stuff.
That is so fucking loud. Dude, I need to call the newspaper and find out what this is. I'm in the middle of a parking lot with a metal, and then you get these sounds. Sounds like a bottle rocket, like a decompression or something. And then
you got lightning.
It warbles for a while, and then it just goes quiet, and then it just screams, blood curdling, and it fills the entire sky. And it echoes again. You can hear it in your ears. Like, feel it in your eardrums. Oh, that is just the scariest fucking death. Screaming. It's like a scream. It's so freaking loud, and it's coming from up in the air, like up there.
I'm going to move forward a little bit.
It's been going
All
on.
right.
See, what the hell is
So
that?
loud. What the heck? I think they're letting off something.
Nah, that makes me scared.
Yeah, that's
What?
crazy.
These are all different people. Oh my
This
God.
ain't good. You see on the right where it has a list of videos, that blackout video. He was talking about like
Oh,
if the whole nation goes blackout. He was talking
yes.
about that.
Oh, hell no. So this is a compilation of.
Yeah, that noise.
Oh,
And
God.
this was from this year.
I'm
That's
going
still
forward
crazy.
to the next the next clip.
Yeah.
The hell? Oh, God.
Mm.
Oh, hell no. That, whoa.
That
And
is
there's
crazy.
one more clip here. Okay. Fuck, what?
Not really the screaming. It's more of like a
War of the Worlds crap?
yeah.
That sounds like Godzilla.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I don't know about that one. But yeah,
the other ones are crazy.
that one just sounds like somebody took a voiceover or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
the
see,
other ones,
that was another thing. like when those sounds were first coming, not that particular one, but the ones prior.
Yes.
Um, you had to decipher a lot because there's people that was doing that. That was just like typing
Trying to
in.
be funny.
Yeah, yeah. So you really had to decipher which ones were real and which ones were fake. But
Yeah.
interesting nonetheless. Pretty crazy.
Let me see if I can find that old video. Yeah, like the strain. There's been a lot of like over 3 years now of different sounds and like
Yeah,
trumpets and stuff.
yeah.
The original video, it, I don't know. It's been a long time. Is this it?
Hmm.
No, this isn't
Like
it.
when the original videos was coming out, it sounded more like trumpets. Like when
Yes,
the original videos,
and
for the most part, they sounded like trumpets.
I have to look for it. I'm not finding it right off the top. It's been a long time,
Yeah,
like these sounds, but like it was so loud. And those other ones, like I believe, oh, I think the first few, you know what I mean? Because they sound similar. It's almost like all these
yeah,
people were in the same area, just different perspectives. That helps. And there was
yeah.
also
Exactly.
more people in those videos, like just together as a group hearing it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And whereas the other one, obviously, that last segment was bullshit. But the
Yeah,
rest of it, like the rest of it,
yeah.
I would say is strong evidence because I like it when you see that. It's kind of like the electromagnetic video. You have
Hmm.
people in the same area, but then you have people spread around in different areas of the globe.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're all seeing similar stuff. They're like, "The heck is going on?"
yeah, the noises, anything, it's almost like the earth, like earthly interaction type crap.
Yeah, and I've heard things where it's like the it's causing issues with the center of the earth, has to do like
The
I've heard,
core,
yeah, the core, so many different theories on that, but the one I've heard the most was like it's just the interaction with a different planetary body the closer it gets,
that makes
and
sense.
it causing those electromagnetic storms like that. So that's what I've heard a lot too.
Yeah, it's something about the kind of like at the shifting of the core or plate.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard that.
yeah,
But as far as them coming from the skylight, I mean, it's just resounding, like a resounding earthly
yeah,
noise type. Yeah, that's insane. Like,
yeah.
those are the kind of earth changes where it gets a little complicated because then you're like, well, it could be this. It
Mhm.
could be related to something else too.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
interesting. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add on about Nibiru or Planet X or anything before we start wrapping up?
Um, honestly, I know we're probably somewhere down the line if things start getting more and more crazy, we'll probably have another discussion about it.
Oh yeah,
But this is just something that has intrigued me for the longest. Not because I'm like, oh, I want it to happen. I want chaos. No, not at all. If anything, I want this all to just not happen, not be real. I'd rather sit back and say, oh, I invested all this time for it not to happen than for it to happen.
right.
Because if it does happen, it's like I say, it's something we've never experienced before. We've never seen. Fear would be, we probably haven't experienced this kind of fear. If it does happen, how scared people would actually be
Right.
seeing this and the destruction it brings. So, I hope that if it is real, that it doesn't cause that kind of destruction, but if it isn't, I'm even more happy. But if this is legit and real, I'd suggest everyone just prep while they still can
Yeah.
before, when stuff hits the fan and all hell breaks loose and chaos is everywhere. You don't know. Like I said, the COVID stuff, that whole thing with the toilet paper and all that, and that was just that was like a little sampler, a
Yeah.
little teaser,
If
you
people
know.
run out of electricity longer than two
Oh
days,
yeah,
they lose their freaking minds.
oh yeah. You think about, especially now with this generation and how we are now with also tapped in with the digital. This it's a digital society. Whether we like it or not, the internet is something we rely on. And everything. So you take all that, or strip all that away, for a lot of people, they'll go crazy.
Yeah.
And so, um, it's one of those situations where if you think the little pandemic thing was crazy, people fighting over toilet paper, you haven't seen nothing. You're talking something on a global scale,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I would just hope that this doesn't come to fruition, and if it does, I just truly hope people are prepared as best as they can be. And it's easier said than done because not everybody is in that situation to be able to be prepared,
Right.
so I can't speak for everybody, but for the ones who can prepare and who are able to, please do it.
Yeah.
Do it for your family, do it,
And the truth is,
just so you don't have to deal with a lot of that.
yeah. And the truth is too is it's a roundabout good habit to start having.
Yeah,
Right.
no matter what, even if it's not just this, just in general. Yeah, you're
Oh
absolutely
hell
right.
yeah. I look at it like that. It's like, we've all had those moments where like, okay, a paycheck is late. Or
Hmm.
so I know people that like they didn't get their they didn't get extra money as they thought they were going to have, or things
Exactly.
were really tight, or there was an emergency and they didn't
Hmm.
get paid for time off, or whatever the scenario is, right? I'm talking normal fucking people, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's keep it real. Most of us live paycheck to paycheck.
Correct.
That's just we're not balling out of control. I mean, we would
Right.
love to be rich. Who wouldn't? Not have to worry about bills and whether you can make this
Right.
payment on time and if you have enough for gas. If I went through the struggle. You've been through the struggle. You know what it's
Hmm.
like. So it's we feel it just like everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
So but it's still good to have a plan and just start getting whatever little you can now and just build off of that, build off, just keep doing whatever you could get that for cheap right now. Do it. Have a list ready. Go. It doesn't really take much to, even if you do a DIY, um
Hmm.
emergency kit. It can be done. It
Yes,
doesn't. Yeah, you
absolutely.
don't have to just go to
You can go
Costco
to
and
the
buy the pre-made.
hell no
Things are expensive.
Dollar Tree it.
Yeah, you sure can. You
You can
sure
do it,
can.
and there's efficient ways of doing it. There's a lot of products there that um, dollar, whatever that is, they're
Hmm.
99 cent only, or Dollar Tree. There are things that you can get there that work just as sufficient as a more expensive brand. Obviously, you're going to pay more for better quality on certain items. Hello, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of things there that you can use economically to build up your reserves. And I've sworn by it. Like I will tell you the funniest story, right?
Hmm.
And I swear to God, this always sticks out in my mind. I was warned uh, February, right? And I spoke to you pre-COVID, like,
Yeah.
you know, got a pre-warning about stuff hitting the fan. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. So I talked to you. I talked to a couple other people I know, and I gave them a heads up. Because these are people I trust, and I know I can tell, and they're not going to lose their minds. You guys
Hmm.
are all in the category of sanity, but you're
Yeah.
going to be. You're not. You've always been a proper. You've always been very proactive, especially because things have happened.
Hmm.
But I had forewarning about it, and I went and stocked up. I'm not even kidding. I went into a Dollar Tree. It was probably like, I don't know, the first week of February, and I got hand sanitizers. I did those things. I ordered my masks ahead of time. I didn't care what the CDC was saying. I didn't care what the mainstream media was saying. I didn't give a
Hmm.
damn what the government was saying, because it was quite clear that everybody was CYAing, and
Hmm.
they don't care about you. So when they're telling you a bunch of crap now, always keep in mind
Exactly.
you need to be proactive on your own behalf of your family. You are the protectant of your family, not your daddy government.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't sit there and just wait for
They're not
for what to tell you
exactly.
on the TV. Don't do that.
Exactly. They're not going to pay your medical bills. They're not
Mm-mm.
going to help you with your kids. They're going to tell you what to do, but they're sure as hell not going to be paying your bills. You know what I mean? And even if
Exactly.
they were, I'd be questioning why the hell they're doing that. Um,
Exactly.
I don't need nobody taking care of my family except for me and my spouse. And in the end, though, we were so proactive, Rich. I can't tell you. You gave me crazy looks, and I just said, restocking our pantry, bullshit
Hmm.
like that.
Yep.
And man, I went in there, we loaded up. This is before everything hit the fan. A couple weeks later, that's when stuff started happening in the States. And it was like a trickling down effect. It just got
Yeah.
worse and worse. And what we had locked down starting in March. and they pulled the kids out of schools. It was all that stuff started happening. So it's like, we are looking at another lockdown, and they're just prepping people because of the Delta variant. And, you should be treating this as a pandemic. Pandemics do not last a year. They last longer than a year. So I remember the transitioning of the beginning of this being like an epidemic to a pandemic, right? And around that time, people were in denial. I was like, no, because it was spreading so hard, so fast. Because I was paying attention to the international news, not the, what do you call it, just the BBC or CNN, which is ridiculous. They're going to tell you things that are going to make you feel comfortable. And they're going to also tell you things that are going to scare you. So anything that puts fear into you instead of education should be your first red flag. I'm a very much a realist, Rich is too, right? We talked a lot in that beginning part, and I was like, listen, like this is what I've heard, and you tell me what you've heard, and we talk about, we stay in contact throughout, because you don't know how things are going to play out. And it played out pretty clearly to what preppers were being laughed at and called crazy how long ago?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people would kind of make their little snide comments and then downplay it. But the truth is, it's like prepping is a great idea for any family. I have a lot more friends now doing it. I've sent them lists. I said, this is stuff that, I rotate out, that you can find them online. And, the crazies people were making fun of before, now they're going to the website looking at their lists of how to prep. Not just go to the government, go to your own. Make lists that suit your family,
Exactly. And like I said, it doesn't take much to get started. Like I said, Dollar Tree, 99-cent store, and all of that. And have a plan of just making sure you stock up, because I tell you right now, if you do it now and just stock up on stuff you're not going to touch, this is for emergencies, and you just do it as much as you can for the next few weeks or whatever, and just see what you come up with, and you put it up. And when stuff start going crazy and all that, that, like, hey, I did this, I'm good. You could kind of take a deep breath, because it's like, wow, I really started working on this early and putting this stuff aside. Now that people are going crazy and trying to stock up, you don't have to worry about it. If you can, get a deep freezer, whatever you can afford to do,
Yeah.
so you can stock up, do it.
Right.
Because, like I said, you definitely don't want to have to deal with, because the second time around is going to even be worse. So, and no one knows, no one's a psychic, no one can predict the future, don't know what's going to happen next month,
Right.
the end of the year, or whatever.
Yeah.
But just the slight chance that this stuff starts getting crazy, I'd rather people prep now if they haven't already. Do it now while things are still sane.
Yeah. Because in the end, what do you call it? Like, never let it, what was it? Romney, Romney. Yeah, Emmanuel. Excuse me, Rahm Emanuel. He was the one that said the comment. It was actually a quote of a quote, but he was like, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Exactly.
So you're going to have opportunists. They're going to be spiking prices and we
Oh
haven't.
yeah, look what they did with hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and all that.
My God.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. I was like, okay. And it was like shitty hand sanitizer too.
There was that one dude, was he in Cali or whatever, that spent like so much money, and then they were like, he was trying to refund it or get it back, and they're like, nope. Like, he got in trouble for it. He had to give all of that. He spent, like, I forgot, he spent a good chunk of money,
like 5 or 10 grand, some crazy amount,
and so he had to give all of that up.
Yeah, they got in. I'm glad they got involved in that situation, but it's like you have opportunists that will take advantage of those crises.
They look at it as a cash grab.
Hell
They
yeah.
don't care what's going on, like, and I, I'm built different than people. Like, I would never, like, a crisis going on, if I'm spending that much on supplies, if I'm good, I'm giving it to people. I'm like, look, man, here, whatever, I'm helping out. I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to charge you, it's going to be double the price or triple. No, don't do that. Like, that's so cold, like, to just do people like that. And people are like, "Oh, capitalism and blah blah blah." No, 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 no. You're not when people are suffering and struggling. No, come on now.
Right.
No, you don't do that. It's not like you're a ticket scalper out at trying to run up the prices of the NBA final tickets or whatever. This is like something crazy where people are in need, people need help, and you think this is the perfect time to just capitalize on people suffering. Like, get out of here.
And that's the thing, right? It's like
Mhm.
now that we're going forward and we are looking at another lockdown. I don't care. Rich and I know the writing's on the wall on this.
Mhm.
It's just there, and
Yeah.
they're feeding it right now in the media.
Mhm.
Regardless, the thing is, this vaccine is not a cure-all. They're having to backtrack on that.
Mhm.
They should have known better, but see, this was part of the push to get people vaccinated. I get it,
Mhm.
but if you're paying attention, you get what they're doing.
Mhm.
So the vaccine's not going to protect you because it's not. A variant is a variant for a reason. If it can't get through the front door, it'll break a window, and then it'll
Mhm.
open up the back door. So that's what a mutation and a variant can be. Some are more aggressive, some are like nothing. The problem is that you're taking a very risky chance with it still mutating within a mutation. Human beings are nothing but petri dishes.
Yeah.
So it can mutate within the same host. It's that this isn't the measles, okay? Uh,
Mhm.
this isn't like SARS, the original COVID. This is much more aggressive. It has a whole different, it's not the flu. For some people, maybe it'll hit them like the flu if they're lucky. Other people, it could really wreak havoc on them if they have pre existing conditions or if they don't. We know people around us that have passed away who had no pre existing and they were young and old and it didn't matter. So the point is some were vaccinated and some were not. We'll leave it at that. But in the end, we're in an experimental phase with a vaccine. We have to be very diligent, very careful. If people want access to a vaccine, get one and get the one that you want. There's
Mhm.
plenty of options. So I'm very much for people having access to the health care they need and want. And I also support the right of people not to get a vaccine if they choose not to.
Yeah.
Being forced to take something that you don't want to take because it's experimental, you feel like there should be more of a window open, and there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of weird stuff around that about how the government is accountable and not accountable for vaccine harm.
Exactly.
So that's my issue right there by itself. I
Yeah.
think they learned their lesson from the H1N1 or the original swine flu back in the 70s. So that's why they have a hold harmless and a quote fund set up for vaccine survivors who had bad side effects. But I think what the window that I'm looking at is 18 months
Mhm.
from this year of the long-term ramifications of vaccination. I want to
when
see
you
what that
start when you
looks
start seeing those commercials of were you one of the many people who got the vaccine, and are you having these kind of side effects? You see, those commercials they talk about,
like. Oh
like, if
yeah.
you're if you got exposed to so and so or this company, they're trying to file a lawsuit or whatever.
Oh,
um
absolutely. And those lawsuits will fall on deaf ears because of
yeah.
the way that the laws are placed in. But a lot
Yep.
of people don't know that. But
Nope.
in the end, though, it's about being safe. If you don't
Mhm.
believe vaccine's an issue, or meaning not vaccine, excuse me, the virus is not an issue. If you think it doesn't exist, good for you. Just don't bitch at me about whatever I decide to do. You have the
Yeah.
freedom to do what you wish for now. Um, don't yell at others who are trying to be proactive and safe for their own families.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry if it makes
that's
people.
people make people nasty doing that. Like, look,
Mhm.
and you see this all the time. People going back and forth with each other about you know getting
People,
vaccinated, getting or not getting vaccinated. I could care less what you choose to do. That's your life. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to
absolutely.
sit there. I'm not going to be all up in your grill about you. I care less. Like, I guess I've always been like the mind my own business type. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, that's how I've always been. Why am I gonna make a fuss about somebody else that's not even like
They're
affected.
not your
Like,
family.
yeah,
They're not your
nothing. Like, I
kids.
don't care. But you have those people that are like that. You have those
Oh
people, like,
yeah.
you could be minding your own business, not but, and you'll have someone just on you. I've dealt with people like that,
Hmm.
and I've had to go off on them. It's like, I'm not even like, why are you talking? Like, why are you bothering me? Like, what is your issue? And you have people that will press you
Oh
just
man.
because
It's
they.
like, remember the old rules, like don't talk about politics or
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
religion
yeah,
or
yeah, exactly.
healthcare,
Yeah,
privacy. It's
yeah.
like all these things keep getting thrown out the window and it's just out of respect. Like I don't ask.
Mhm,
Like I had a horrible story, and I don't know if I'm going to keep it vague. I know an individual. She had a very close group of friends,
mhm,
and they decided that because one of this individuals, part of their close knit of friends, did not get vaccinated, they don't want to
mhm.
wear masks around this person. They basically kicked the person from their group.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand why you're concerned. I get it. But the rule here is that you're still supposed to be wearing a mask regardless. I don't give a damn, what, the current advice is. Now they backtracked on the advice, didn't they? Ooh, surprising. Oh, shock and awe.
Mhm,
Now you need to wear a mask around anybody, regardless if you've had a vaccine or not. And it's not about protecting yourself from other people. When you wear a mask, you're protecting others from you, right? And that's what they try to say.
mhm.
But in the end, wearing a mask is just proactive to keep your germs to yourself and their germs from you, and washing your hands, using hand sanitizer, all these common sense things. People want to go back to normal, and I completely understand that. But what you have to understand too is that the world is not going to be the same. Um, and that's probably both a good thing and a bad thing. I'm not going to lie. But I think the way that people react to each other, like, I don't give a shit. We had people visit us recently, family, and uh, some were vaccinated, some were not, and we still kept distance. We wore masks, you know, and it was out of respect. And but in the end, it was like, you know, I started hearing the talkie, the whole like, well, I'm not getting this, and I'm getting this, or I got this already, and blah 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 blah. And in the end, I just kind of went, I'm glad you had a choice. That's
Mhm,
usually my answer. I'm like, I'm glad that you were able to access the vaccine if you wanted it, or I'm glad that you have a choice to not take
mhm.
that because you have other issues that you feel like it would, cause harm to your health. Um, it's a lot more complicated. It's not. I think the problem is people want to police each other and what they do, and it's not right. I feel like people want to be parents so badly, but they don't want to actually parent their own children. They want to parent society.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of hall monitors walking
Yeah.
around, you know, and it's like, mind your business. Like, just
Right.
leave me alone, But like I said, I tune a lot of people. I don't like people as it is. I'm not, it is not because I say that in a way as a introvert,
Yeah.
that because that's how I am. Um, so when I say I don't like people, it doesn't mean I literally hate everyone. I like, of course, people who are my friends and family, of course I associate, but I don't go out my way to make but new friends or
Mhm.
socialize like that. I don't. That it drains me, actually. It really does. Like, if I go out a day of hanging out with people, I am drained, and I'd rather be home for like the rest of the week. So with me, I don't deal with people a lot. Um, but yeah, you got a lot of hall monitors, no matter what it is.
It's kind of like how
In
they're.
society, it's just you have a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people like that, no matter what the situation is.
And like and the reason I brought up the mask thing and how people kind of police each other and want to be in each other's business, it's the same with prepping.
Hmm.
So, like, when someone finds out that this is a while ago, this is pre-COVID, okay, that we were preppers, and not in like the psycho, like get out the basement, I got ammo to keep me going for another 20 years kind of prepping, but
Hmm.
just general prepping for a family in case of emergencies, because where we live is hurricane. We do get hurricanes and tropical
Yeah, yeah,
storms.
yeah.
Every place we've lived, there's been something. but to be proactive and to be prepared. And you get
Yeah.
little sly comments from people or something, just to be like a jerk. These same people were giving me shit before, asking me what has the best shelf life. I'm like, well, let me send you some
No,
websites.
no. Figure it out. Why
Right.
not?
Part of me wanted to tell them to go to hell, but I meant, these are people
Yeah,
I
nah,
care
nah,
about. You
nah.
know what I mean? But,
There's that part of you that's
oh,
like,
man.
nah, figure it out. Nah, I'm the crazy one.
Remember,
Remember?
I'm the crazy one that likes to
Nah,
stockpile cans,
yeah, you got this. You'll figure it out.
I'm not a psycho about it either. I'm pretty casual about it, but we have
Yeah.
things organized and we keep track of, like, water's always good to have, period. There's
Oh
just
yeah, of course,
all
of
kinds
course.
of water. After when we had the ice storm, we were fine,
Hmm.
overall, except for like minor things, but we had heating blankets and things like that. We got through it, but it's
I'll
like
tell
there are
you.
people,
I'll
man.
tell you what. Like, ever since I got a water cooler, like the bottled water has lasted a lot longer because
You know,
they'll just go to the cooler and get water.
Calm Squirrel, I was telling him about what you did with the cooler, and he was like, he's looking into it right now.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that would be a great idea because we do drink a lot of water, and when you have
Yeah,
kids, especially,
I got mine on Amazon. I got it for like it was like a little over 200, I think. But
That's
yeah,
not
I
too bad.
yeah, it wasn't bad at all. And I was just like, because I was sitting back, I'm like, man, go through so much, especially these girls. Like me, I get a gallon. I'll drink a gallon to 2 gallons a day, but I always get me a
Hmm.
big old gallon. Um, but that's just how I drink water. I'm a big man, so I, consume a lot of water. But
Tell people
the
your
girl,
household size.
yeah,
There's your.
all
This is the kicker, guys.
all together, it's 7 of us.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm the only male.
Outnumbered.
Yeah, yeah. I have no say so in a lot of things. I just stay in my room. Like, okay, if you guys need me, I'll just I'll be over here. But
Behind door number one.
yeah, it's like a little under $200. It's like 193 plus tax.
Okay.
But I just sent you the link. That's what I got. And
Oh,
it's the
okay.
bottom. It's the bottom one. Where you put the 5 gallon thing
Oh,
on the
that
bottom.
looks
It's
so
not
much
the top one.
easier.
Yeah, yeah. Just slide it in there, and boom, close the door.
So
Um,
this is another question. Where do you get your water bottles from?
you could get them on Amazon, but the first couple of bottles I got was from Walmart.
Okay.
And then I went to one night I was at Winco. I don't. Do they have a Winco out there?
No.
Okay. All right. So there's Winco. Winco is like Walmart and stuff like it. It's cheaper. I
Okay.
don't know if they're still 24 hours. I think they are. They may close at like midnight now, but they're cheap. The reason why their prices are so good is because it's employee owned
Okay.
and they don't have baggers, so
Okay.
you bag your own stuff. So yeah, the prices are good, but they got a refill station and they got the 5 gallon jugs there too, where you could just buy them, fill them up, and take it or bring in your bottles and refill them and just pay for a refill. So I got the other ones from there, but I'm gonna order a stand this week because I want to get like I said, I want to get 10 of them and just put it up, have a stand for those. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I like that. I like that cooler a lot because that's kind
yeah,
of that was my issue because we used to have the top
yeah, the
crap.
top, like, and I
Ugh.
would be the only one in the house to really be able to pick that up like it's nothing and put it up
Exactly.
there.
I couldn't do it. We used to have one when we were in Arizona, and every time I
Mm,
swear to God, I felt like I was gonna break it. I had a feeling I was just gonna drop it. I did
yeah.
once, it didn't do much, thank God. But this is a much better idea. I like this a lot better because it's
Yeah,
easier.
I mainly did it for, girls or whatever, in case I'm not here or something. It's easier for them to just slide it in there and hook it up compared to
That's
trying to
great.
lift that thing over and put it on a thing and someone hurts their back trying to do it or it lands on
Mhm.
somebody's foot and all this and that. And so, but
That's
like for
that's
me, like
impressive.
the 5 gallon things it's light for me. It's not hard at all for me to pick them things. I carry like two of them in each hand when I fill them up and bring them back. So they're not heavy to me.
Man, I'm gonna make a mental note of getting one of those because when you mentioned it before, I was like, that's a great idea. Because
Yeah.
we moved and it was like, we decided not to renew the cooler and air,
Oh, you do like with
sparklets or something.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Now
and
I was gonna do like just have their water service,
right.
but like I was looking to see if they did that, but like every time I was looking, it was like, oh, you got to rent a cooler with it. I'm like, no, I just want
No.
the water service.
Yeah,
You know?
I think out here they offer just the water because that was
Yeah,
one thing we were looking at. Because I think that's probably what we would do is do that part. But if
yeah, just
you
do
don't
the
have to rent
water.
the damn cooler. I'm even happier
Yeah, yeah.
because that's
That's like
ridiculous
because I didn't
expensive.
want to. I didn't like. I don't want to rent a cooler. I'd rather. I was like, because I was when I was first thinking about it, I was thinking about doing sparklets, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna
Oh
rent a
yeah,
cooler. I'll just buy it. You know. So
save some money. That's a great deal though on that. Like
yeah,
under $200, a little bit under 200. Who cares? That's still a deal because those
yeah,
stupid coolers through like sparklets, they're like pushing 300.
yeah. I mean, if you want a really, really like good one, then yeah, of course you'll pay a little bit more. But for what I paid for, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I don't
So
need to time travel. It's
no,
cool.
no, I'm not. I ain't
you
trying to
know,
ball out on it. Like it works, keeps the
right.
water cool, real. It has hot water, cold water. I'm good.
Right. I think it's good, especially with a big family and you have people constantly drinking water. Arizona, like for context, you have to drink water in Arizona. You can't drink soda all the time. You cannot. And,
Mm-mm.
yes, you can drink too much water. I get it. But the truth is, water is your go to. It's easy to dehydrate. And in any climate, really, where there's extreme heat. So here in our house, we go through a ton of water. And,
Yeah,
and we have a family of five. So that's only five people, but still, we go through a ton of water. You don't realize how much water you go through until, like, you're kind of limited to bottled water or getting like the big, like big liters of water to put into storage or
hmm,
just to have in the fridge for use. But yeah, like we usually save like those for like refilling it with regular tap water just for like emergencies for like toilet if the water gets shut off or whatever for cleaning stuff like that. Those are very handy. But anyways,
yeah,
thank you for that. I'm gonna make a note of it.
yeah. Oh no, no, not at all. Like it's all good. Yeah, it was just a lot easier when you have, especially if you're a parent with a lot of kids. You know how fast they go through water or whatever drinks you got in the house.
Yeah.
So, it's always good to just stock up on that, and like I said, with the the bottled water lasts a lot longer when you have a water cooler because everybody's just getting water from the water cooler.
Right. Because then you're
So
not
you
having
could
to
you
worry
could
about
really
bottles
stock,
either.
yeah, and you could really stock up on, as far as like prepping bottled water. You could really stock up on that and just put it up, or you could just stock up on. Well, I'd say stock up on a bottled water because if something happened where you have no power, you ain't gonna have no cold water.
Right.
So,
Right.
but no, it's easier to stock up on bottled water when you have a cooler at the house where everybody could just drink out of the cooler. You could just keep
Right.
stocking up on water.
Our house
That
is
no one
always
really
the
touches.
bottles traveling. You find them everywhere at some point or
Oh yeah, that's
empty
just
bottles.
what kids do. And then you know what
God.
another thing that irks me is they'll drink half the time it'll be half bottles, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, just. "Argh." But what I did was I bought me a big old half-gallon little the little metal the little metal bottle,
Oh
the
yeah, like
thermal
a Yeti
thing.
type
Yeah,
thing.
I bought a half-gallon one, and I love it. Was like 50 something dollars, but I love it.
I know a couple people who use that. Like they work.
Yeah, it
They
really
love it.
does like it because this stays cold. I fill it up with ice cold water, and I could leave it out. If I have it set it on my desk or something, it'll stay cold for 2 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it'll be ice cold for 2 days, and I'll be like, cool.
And that
Um,
ice is still good. And like I think Calm Squirrel has a small version,
yeah,
and it does the same thing.
yeah, yep. I
And
got. big old 50 half gallon.
Yeah, he has a small version. He doesn't have that big ass one, but I
Hmm.
think the eldest squirrel beef, whatever, he's
Hmm.
getting one for work because
It does
you know,
wonders. It does
yeah, he
wonders. It keep it
because he's
cold.
like a water bottle, all that crap. He's sick of it. He's
Hmm.
like, I'd like to just most of the guys, especially like firemen and things like that, they
Hmm.
carry those.
Yep.
It's easier, especially when you're going. He works 911, so he's always on the road. So to have that would be major benefit. So
Yeah, especially you out hot, exhausted all day or whatever. You get still be able to have ice
oh
cold water
yeah.
or whatever, and your thing. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It really works, especially me working at night. I'll usually I'll fill it up at night and have it with me while I'm working all night, and then you know a lot of times I'll forget to put it back in the refrigerator, leave it out, and then when I wake up, I have still ice cold.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, it's a good investment. It really is.
Oh my god. Well, there's some helpful tips from Big
Yeah,
Rich.
there you go.
Stuff that you might have known about, but maybe needed more elaboration. But
Exactly.
I think I think people underestimate simple things like that.
Hmm.
That's like a form of technology in itself.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how far we've come. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I guess. Did you have anything coming out on your channel?
Well, I just finally sat down and started getting my live streaming down. I know it's been, I mean, I know I've streamed, but like
Right.
no one really got to see my handsome face. But now, I've gotten that part down. So now when I'm streaming, I'm like, oh yeah, he's really a handsome man. So yeah, I've been messing around on Facebook with that as far as like just streaming. I was like, I did a little bit of Cyberpunk. I was playing that game and just kind of really testing it out. Of course, my YouTube UND Gamer Die, same as my Facebook gaming page, and the girls recently, talked me into teaming up with them. They kept hounding me and hounding me and hounding me, and I was like, fine,
Mhm.
fine. So the girls, they wanted to do a YouTube and I created a Twitch for them. I created an Instagram for them, and I just created a Twitter page, but I haven't put anything on. I just created it so they have it.
Right.
But they wanted me to do all the hard work. I told them I'll come up with some names and come up with a little design for them and all that. And so I wrote out 5 names, and the one they picked out was Fantastic Melanated Blerds. That was the one they all liked.
So
So I said,
cute.
okay,
Uh,
hit up some sites as far as like creating the design and intro for it and all of that, and working on putting all like editing all of it because I want it to come out, really good for them.
yeah.
Because they really and they, Rihanna, um, she has a gotcha club thing. They do the little gotcha things. I'd never heard of it before until I seen them have it. It's like they'll create these little anime characters and
Yep.
have music playing on. I'm like, the heck and I guess apparently it's popular. I didn't
Yep.
had no idea. So, and then
Wow.
like Jamie has her channel. She has like 60,000 subscribers. I'm like, geez,
Holy crap! What is that on? Is she on? Is this on
yeah,
Twitch?
YouTube. No, this is on
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah, and it's like a lot of
Good for
just
her, man.
gotcha. So I'm like, how are y'all? I'm sitting there struggling, y'all.
It's because they get into that. They're all. This is such a huge thing.
Yeah, I'm
Movie
like,
Squirrel knows all about it
geez.
too.
But
Hmm.
and Tati and Ari, they wanted to jump on it. So I just been really like brainstorming and taking pictures and filming stuff and like trying to put it all together. And I the editing software you put me on a while back. I've been using that still. The what's it called? The VS.
Yeah, the VDSC
Yeah,
or whatever it
VS
is.
or whatever. Yeah, I still have that. So I just like really just taking my time like putting it together so it could just come out good for them because I really want them to enjoy it. So yeah,
I
just
think
working on that.
once they get going, they're just gonna take off. That's what I
Yeah,
think.
like that, like the little intro video I did. And it's so simple because it's like 8 seconds long, but the way like I went through so many different intros, like I was sitting up for a few hours before I finally came across that particular intro and used the logo and all that in there.
Yeah, looks really
Um,
good.
and then of course, when it comes to finding music for stuff, that's not hard at all. But
Right.
um, yeah, so just working with them on that and hopefully they enjoy it. So yeah, that's what I got going on right now.
Yep. And what you guys are seeing at the bottom of the scrolling there is all the contact information. I'll also have the links in the description, so you can find both Big Rich's channel and the
Hmm.
FMB page.
Hmm.
I'll make sure that I get the Twitch account info and the Twitter, as those things are, those links to those two for them as well. But yeah, you can check out Rich there. And
Yeah, and that's what I totally forgot to give you the Twitch. I
no,
just
it's all
that was
good.
the last thing I was like, oh yeah, but there you go.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
put it in the
yeah,
link description so you guys
yeah.
can follow there. Check out the girls as they're developing the channel, and they'll be getting out content soon enough. And once they get going, you know how it goes. It'll be like
Hmm.
all the time after a while.
Exactly.
But yeah, on this channel, there'll be this posted probably Monday night. So when this does go up, it'll probably be Monday night. Uh,
Yeah.
but this eventually all the glitch stuff will go to a glitch paradox channel. But I just wanted to leave it here for now to try to keep it all in one place so I don't get screwed up
Yeah.
and be like, I'm going to
Exactly.
post this over here. But once we get going, then we'll start posting more on an independent channel just for glitch. And
Yes.
I'll leave this here for now. And then, but other content that's coming out on my channel will be doing some movie reviews with Lady Perry Winkle. We're going to be just doing movie reviews, some old classic stuff. And I'm supposed to be doing a one-on-one this week with Mega Jetty. Hopefully his internet has come back. There's been issues with DNS server problems for him over in their area on the East Coast. So it's there. And some of these, I'm not going to name the name of the company, but they need to get their crap together, man. But anyway, but yeah, that's all I got going on right now. It's just been trying to get back into the swing of stuff. Take a year off. This is what happens. But
Yeah. That's what happens. It's all good though.
yeah. But anyway, everyone check out Rich's information. That's the big stuff. And do you have any other closing words, Rich? Anything you want to go ahead and lead us out?
Run for your lives. No, just playing.
The end is near.
Yeah. No, just it's just very stuff like this to me is always informative. Whether stuff goes down or not, I'd rather be in the know than not. Um,
Absolutely.
like I said, anyone listening to this, just do the research yourself. You don't have to take our word for it or whatever.
No.
I did this on my own. My mom, she gave me stuff that she knew I was interested. She knew the way my mind worked, and I was always, questioning everything and wanted to know more and all that. And she would give me stuff to research. She'd give me
Yeah.
subjects she thought I would be interested in which I was. She knew I was always into the unknown, the unexplained, paranormal stuff like that, ancient, secrets, ancient, technology, all that. So she would always give me stuff I was into. She knew I was into space, so she would always give me books on astronomy, and she knew I always loved watching Science Channel and nature documentaries. So that's what got me into it. It wasn't like, I just woke up one day and was like, oh, I need to research about this. No, this stuff. This stuff has been in my head since I was a kid. So, but I also am very thankful I had a mother who encouraged us to think outside the box. Not everybody's in that situation, um, and not everybody's family is supportive like that. So I understand if people are just now kind of thinking outside the box or just now getting into like questioning things or researching stuff because they didn't have that kind of support. They're worried about what the family thought about or were going to say, or if they're going to get disowned and stuff like that. So I'm just thankful that I didn't have to deal with that. And my mom was very supportive in that, and she was always encouraging, and she'd be right there with us, learning and questioning things. So that's just how it got started for me.
Right.
Yeah, no, I just say, if you're unsure or whatever, read through the research. And like I said, you could be sitting here and be 100% wrong about this. This is just, guesswork and just stuff we've come across and stuff we're just putting together. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, still, better be prepared. It's best just to be prepared than not. And just it's just this is more informative for everybody. This is not to scare people or
No.
people in a panic, but it's just to say, hey, this is a possibility.
What if?
What if? So that's all it is. So yeah, just if you don't believe us or whatever, hey, by all means, do the research.
Yeah. And the thing is, just it's not some, I don't know. I would much prefer to have an open mind about things without, not letting the brains fall out with it, but
Yeah,
have the open mind to see kind of the bigger picture. Well, you never know. And if
exactly,
nothing happens, that's fine too. I'm okay both ways.
exactly,
I like to know, even if I guess that's that need to know thing. It's like, well, what does this mean? Oh, okay. So I have a general gist of what this is, what they're trying to imply or what they're talking about. And I'm not in the dark.
exactly,
Even if I don't agree or whatever it is, to me, it's like, I would rather just know. I'd like to be able to question it without somebody saying, well,
exactly,
you're not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to have a theory. You're not allowed to have any argument. It's like,
exactly,
that's boring. That makes life really boring.
exactly.
Anyway, but thanks, Rich, for us getting together tonight. I know we were dealing with some technical stuff
Oh yeah, that
with your
man. Someone had to
computer upgrades,
punch a hole through the monitor. I was so angry.
but it got done. And next time, hopefully, we'll both be on camera. That was the big issue: is
Yeah.
the headset was not cooperating with the camera
At
on
all.
Rich's end. And so, hopefully, in the future, next time we do this, which I hope will be soon, we're going to try to make it more of a habit. But sometimes the schedules get weird, so we're trying to stay consistent. We used to be very consistent, but
Yeah.
life happens. So
Plus, I got some cool posters, man. I want people to see all my cool posters.
yeah, he's getting his station set up, and I already have
Yeah.
mine set up. But it makes you feel very good because then you're like, okay, now we're down to business. Now we got
Exactly.
it all.
Exactly.
Anyway, well, thank you everyone for listening and hanging out with it, both Rich, because Rich is the host and the co-host of
Yes.
this.
I try. Hope everybody enjoyed this episode. We'll be back soon. Till
Absolutely.
then, guys, have a great day, great evening, whatever time you decide to listen to this.
Yep. Everyone have a great night. Bye-bye.